All right, today we are going to look at operations on real numbers. We're not going to use a calculator when we do these. So if you are doing this at home and choose to use a calculator, just know that when you take your quiz over this next class, you will not be able to use a calculator on it. So we're just looking at adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So we're just going to do some examples. So it's just kind of remembering, getting yourself back into math. So here I have two negatives, -6 plus -15. So remember, when you're adding two negatives, then your answer is going to be a negative. And then just add your numbers together. So 6 plus 15 is 21. So -21 would be our answer. Here, when I have a positive and a negative number, what you're going to do is you're going to subtract the two numbers, and whichever number is bigger, that's the sign you're going to have. So 3 plus -7. So I would take 3 away from -7, which would give us -4. When we're subtracting -12 minus -5, when you're subtracting a negative right here, remember that means that you change it to addition. Then it's like number 2, so -12 plus 5 would give us -7. The sign that has the bigger number with it is what our answer would be at the end. Then we also are going to have some fractions. So I have -3/4 plus -5/8. So a negative plus a negative, we know we're going to end up with a negative. But before you can add fractions, you need a common denominator. Well, 4 goes into 8 twice. So that means I would need to multiply this 4 times 2 to get 8. I also have to do that on the top. So this would become -6/8 plus -5/8. So remember, when we're adding two negatives together right here, our answer is a negative. When we're dealing with fractions, add the two top numbers together, so -11, and the bottom stays the same, so -11/8. Here again, I have a fraction. This time, 4 and 3, they don't go into each other. So to find our common denominator, we need to know what both those go into. They both go into 12. So to get 12, I need to multiply this first fraction by 3 on top and bottom, my second fraction by 4 to get 12 on bottom. Also in here, I'm subtracting a negative, so those would become positive. So multiplying this 3 through over here would give us 9/12, plus multiplying our 4 here, 8/12. Remember, add the top, so 9 plus 8 is 17. The bottom stays the same. This one, we're just adding and subtracting numbers, but we're doing more than just two. So I have -6. Again, right here, I'm subtracting a negative. That would become positive. So this turns into -6 plus 2 minus 8 minus 1. Then you're just going to work from left to right. So -6 plus 2 would give us -4 minus 8 minus 1. -4 minus 8 is -12, and then subtract another 1, so that would give us -13. So here I have some more kind of order of operations we have to think about a little bit. So when we have something in brackets, we need to do this first. Our brackets first, so this would become -3 minus, and in our brackets, -7 plus 15 would be 8, minus 6. So what this really looks like is -3 minus 8 minus 6. Again, go from left to right, so -3 minus 8 is -11. Minus 6 would give us -17. Write out as many steps as you might need. Then we're going to move to multiplication. A positive times a negative is going to give us a negative number, and 7 times 8 is 56. Here I have fractions, or we're going to make it a fraction. I have -5/8. This could be like 16/1. So that would be -5/8 times 16/1. Since we're not using calculators, you could multiply across the top and then the bottom and simplify, or look at this, 8 and 16. One's on top, so 8 goes into 8 once, 8 goes into 16 twice. So now if I multiply it smaller numbers, -5 times 2 would give us -10/1, which would just be -10. Okay, next I have 3/4 times -16/7. So again, look to see if we can cancel anything on top and bottom. So here 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 16 4 times. Now if I multiply across the top, I have a positive and a negative, so that would give me -12 1 times 7 is 7. That can't be simplified anymore, and we're going to leave our answers as fractions, no decimals. So then if I look at 11 and 12 right here, notice we're dividing and we have 0. Whenever we're dividing like 6 divided by 0, we can't do that. You can't divide by 0. So this could be like undefined. You could tell me it's not possible. Just don't tell me it's an error. Your calculator is going to tell you error if you try and use it, and I would count that wrong. You have to know that it's not possible. But if I'm dividing by 0 on top, the answer is just 0 right here. Okay, then we have some special signs. Right here are 2 straight up and down bars. Remember, means absolute value. The absolute value of anything is a positive number. So this would be 4 minus, and the absolute value of negative 2 is 2. So then 4 minus 2 is 2. Again, absolute value, do what's inside of it first. So there's a negative on the outside, we're going to keep it. Inside my absolute value, negative 3 plus 7 is 4. So the negative on the outside I have to keep. The absolute value of 4 is 4, so our answer would be negative 4. And our last one is dividing 2 fractions. Dividing 2 fractions is the same as multiplying. We're going to keep the top fraction the same, so negative 3/8. We're going to change it to multiplication and flip this fraction around so it becomes 16 over 11. And again, you can multiply across the top and bottom and then simplify, or look at it. 8 goes into 8 once and into 16 twice. Multiply across the top would give us negative 6, and the bottom would be 11. Again, leave everything as fractions. So you are going to have a little worksheet with some different problems like this. Remember, it's not a calculator worksheet if you're doing it at home. You need to make sure that you can do it without a calculator, because when you take your quiz in class, it will be without a calculator. If you have questions, please let me know.